If you have a debit card, you need to know about this.
A doorbell camera capturing the moment this Mebane woman says she handed over her savings of $17,500 in cash to a complete stranger.
Criminals are wiping out bank accounts using your debit card, online banking, and they're showing up at your front door. This scam is a lot bigger than just this one person. It's part of a growing trend that's been reported in cities all across the country.
The sheriff says they're currently working with the North Carolina SBI and the Department of Homeland Security to identify more victims and suspects. And while the total amount of money scammed is unknown at this time, he says it's close to $400,000.
This woman thought she was helping her bank fix a mistake. Instead, she gave her life savings to a criminal who showed up at her front door. It all started with a suspicious $82 PayPal charge on her Bank of America account.
It started when she was on her computer trying to log on to her bank account.
I put in my password and username and got to the website, but it wouldn't let me open my accounts.
She grabbed her cell phone and says she went to the number saved in her cell phone for her bank.
Now, little did she know right here was the setup for the biggest scam that was going to completely change her life from this one phone call. Because the scammers used her own words against her. They told her her bank accounts had been frozen because of suspicious activity through PayPal, that same $82 charge that she was calling her bank about. So what they did was they transferred her over to PayPal's fraud department to figure out what was going on with this transaction. But as I'm sure you can already guess, that wasn't PayPal. And this is where the scam started to escalate.
On the line with them, she says she was told the charge was for $82 and they said they could refund her, but she had to follow their instructions, which included downloading several things on her computer.
All right, so you're probably wondering, how did we get from $82 to $17,500? And it actually happened right here. When the scammers asked this lady to install some software on their computer, they pulled up a fake refund program that asked her to put in the amount of money that she was due for a refund.
Typed $82 and I immediately looked up to the screen and it says $18,000. And then it goes accept, 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 just like that. And I said to this man, I said, that's wrong. I said, that's not what I typed in. I said, that's a mistake.
This was all a part of the scam, and you can still hear the surprise and frustration in her voice. What she was actually seeing, that $18,000, was money that had been transferred from her savings to her checking by the scammers. Remember, they had her install software on her computer. This software was remote control software. So now these scammers actually have physical access to her computer to continue pulling the threads on this scam, because she doesn't realize the money actually came from her savings account, her actual money. The scammers convince her that they've accidentally sent her this extra money.
What you have to do to fix it is you have to get cash, go to your bank and get cash.
Hesitant to follow his instructions, but she says this letter with a Bank of America logo came out of her printer, stating there's a serious matter concerning your account, an unresolved tax issue related to a personal transaction from PayPal. As a result, online account transfers are temporarily blocked by the IRS.
Now look, I know what you're thinking, like who would do this? Who in their right mind would go and do this? But I want you to see exactly what these scammers did right here. It's ridiculous.
The letter goes on to state, we have not notified your local branch. It's crucial you refrain from discussing this transaction with them. Doing so may lead to freezing or seizing all funds in your account.
She's been on the phone for hours trying to fix a refund mistake that never even happened. She's scared her accounts are about to be frozen, and the scammers just printed an IRS warning letter from her own printer. And so she's driving over to the bank, confused, overwhelmed, and still on the line with these scammers. And honestly, it's a blessing that she wasn't hurt. Because imagine being that stressed out, that distracted, and then getting rear-ended on the way to the bank. That's the kind of chaos these scammers want to create, and they often do. And if something like that ever happens to you, where you're hurt, even a small fender bender, your case could actually be worth millions, but only if you have the right people fighting for you. And that's where Morgan & Morgan comes in, America's largest injury law firm. They helped real people win serious cases. $12 million in Florida, 34 times more than the insurance offered. $26 million in Philly, 40 times more than the insurance offered. And the best part? It's completely free unless you win your case. No upfront fees, no fine print. You can start your claim now at forthepeople.com/Boyd, or just scan the QR code on the screen from your phone's camera. Because trying to fight the insurance company with no backup, that's like bringing a flashlight to a hacker convention. It is not going to work. After more than 4 hours of calls and fear, she did exactly what they told her to do. She drove to her local Bank of America branch, still on the line with the scammer, still believing she was fixing an $18,000 mistake. She withdrew $17,500 in cash and brought it back home.
She drove to her bank and withdrew $17,500. As she says, a man told her she could keep $500 for her troubles.
The bank manager came over and he said, before we proceed, he said, "Are you being harassed?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not being pressured," because I didn't think I was. I didn't know I was being scammed.
Now, this is the moment right here that sealed her fate and guaranteed that she would never see a dime of her money again. By the way, if you are absolutely disgusted with scammers and you hate them, I want you to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so the algorithm knows that you hate scammers.
She says she even signed a document saying she was taking this money out on her own free will. After getting the money, she continued to follow the caller's instructions, drove home. This letter, she says, printed from her printer, thanking her for returning the funds to PayPal, and a Mr. Jack has been assigned to collect the cash.
So as you can see, because she signed the document saying that she wasn't being harassed or being scammed, the bank has no responsibility to give her her money back, which is very sad for her. So this woman, after all this happened, she ends up calling her daughters and telling them about the long day that she's had and everything that transpired. And her daughters immediately knew that she had been scammed. And that's when she started to panic, ultimately calling the police and the news station. Now at this point, this whole situation is far from over. After she had the conversation with her daughter, she's thinking that she is the only person that's been a victim of this crime.
Until she saw this man's mugshot, Lingwei Zhang. She says it's the same guy that came to her door and she handed over her $17,500. Zhang is charged with obtaining property under false pretenses in her case, and he, along with another suspect, are also facing charges in Person, Durham, and Granville counties of obtaining property under false pretenses, accessing computers, and felony conspiracy.
However, this is something that is continuing to happen around the world because people are falling for it. So here's what you need to know to protect yourself and the ones that you love so that you are not a victim of this crime. The first thing is never trust phone numbers saved in your phone. Always verify through the bank's website. And please don't Google the bank's website, go directly to it. We've seen a lot of people actually get scammed by Googling bank names because these scammers are actually placing ads using fake bank websites for people Googling them. And number two, understand that no legit company is going to ask you to return money in cash. That's just very shady. And number three, the IRS doesn't send legal threats to your printer. That's a big red flag right there. But this only happened because the scammers had access to her computer. By the way, another tip. If you are calling your bank talking about a refund or suspicious charge, bank representatives are not going to ask you to download any software to get access to your computer. That is a scam 100% of the time. And last but not least, these scams are typically targeted at our senior citizen community. Please talk to your parents, your grandparents, anyone who could be vulnerable. Because these scammers aren't just after bank balances, they are trying to take everything from you. If you've ever been targeted or know someone who has, especially for this type of scam, drop a comment below and let us know exactly what happened. Your story could stop the next person from falling for it. And if you're wondering what it actually looks like to interact with these scammers, check this video out right here where I bait and expose the very same type of PayPal scammers responsible for taking $17,000. This is Boyd Cluis, also known as Sherlock Homie, and this is your Scam Alert.